People need to be able to weigh in before they can buy in.
Mm.
And when we skip over the weigh-in process for the key stakeholders in our organizations, we will pay for that later. And it's so hard. You earn trust over time. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Leading Smart Podcast, Season 3. We are leading in real time. We literally just decided in real time what today's podcast was going to be about.
I know, based on real situations and circumstances and things we've been talking about.
Yeah, which I know we've said this before, but I just feel the need to say it again because it tickles me every time. Tim, you've come so far in Season 3. If I go back to Season 1 and how, first of all, you were so hesitant, like, I don't know if we should do a podcast. And
Yep.
then we booked this incredible studio, which we love in Chicago. And we had every episode like scripted with, not like scripted word for word, but we had notes, we had all of the things. And now for you to be able to just be like, what are we talking about today? And be genuinely excited about it. I love it.
But those weren't real time.
Yes.
This is real time.
That's true. That was
Those had
succession
very specific
planning.
topics and bullets, and we were following a flow and all of that, so.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you were on those first two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really you were pulling stuff out of me. This one, I feel like we're both able to share and ping off each other and pull the best from each other. So
Yeah, that's fun.
it's fun.
It's so fun. Okay, well, leading in real time. So you and I are in the middle of working with a LeadingSmart client on strategic planning. And I have so enjoyed this client and have learned a lot from you walking through this process. And so I wanted us to unpack strategic planning in general is going to be our topic today and walk through kind of the process that we have guided them through. And so we're doing this for a couple reasons. One, because this episode will come out, I think, next week in a couple days.
Yep.
And which means we're in the middle of December. And so with our church and ministry clients, it's really hard to lift your eyes and think about 2026 when you have your marathon coming up here in a couple weeks. So fully realize that. But if there's anything we can help you do to lead smarter, it's to just, even if you put 30 minutes on your calendar to just journal or think or brainstorm about strategic planning for next year before Christmas, I think it'll do you so well going into next year. So,
And I was talking to a church yesterday, spent 2 days with a church this week, and they were talking about their 2026 initiatives and, in essence, strategic plan. And just life's been so busy, they haven't been able to get at it. So they're actually focusing time in January. So I think that's not too uncommon, where it's like, Christmas and launch of the new ministry year and whatever, you don't get to it, but now's a good time. Whether it's a strategic plan for a year or if it's a 3-year plan, I think this is good timing.
yes, absolutely. And I kind of want to start there with strategic planning because I know for myself, one of the things I've learned from you over the years, over the last 10 years, working with you and alongside you in different capacities, Tim, but where I get stuck sometimes is I have such a rigid view of like, I hear strategic plan, and in my head, it's a very structured, rigid plan, and it's probably like 30 pages in my mind. And, but as the leaders of the organization, you get to decide. And so
Right.
strategic plan doesn't mean you have to do it in December. You can do it in January. You can do it in March. You can do it whenever you feel like it is the best time to do it for your organization. And so that was one of the things that I also appreciate about this client was because they came to us about to finish a 3-year strategic plan. And they had realized, hey, there's some things on here that we would say are like green and check off the list. And there's other things on here that are yellow, and there's other things that are red. And there's other things that we don't even know why we put it on the strategic plan in the first place.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated their spirit of like, we want to simplify as we look ahead to the next 3 years so that we can actually achieve this and not just doing a strategic plan for a strategic plan's sake.
It's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe we're going to get into this on like the timing of that. I get that question a lot of like, should we do a 5-year plan? Should we do a 10-year plan? In this case, this church we're working with, they're doing a 3-year plan. They came out of a 3-year, they're going into a 3-year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I have a little bit of I was gonna say hot take. I think it's actually more of a hypothesis right
Hmm.
now, that I am experimenting with a few different clients, which is I wonder if the 3 to 5-year strategic plan is dead because of the rate of change that we're all undergoing right now with technology and just the climate of everything. I mean, we are just in such a rapid change environment right now across the board. And so to think 3 to 5 years out can feel daunting. Now, what I do think is helpful, which is what I think we've done with this client, is we're thinking very high level.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like big 30,000 foot, call them, we've kind of joked about this, like initiatives, pillars, goals, objectives,
Yeah.
like
Right.
whatever word you want to call it. And what it doesn't have is like tactics. Whereas I think a lot of organizations get stuck in tactics, like more of a tactical strategic plan that they're planning for 3 years out. But like, how in the world are we going to be able to plan 3 years from now what tasks we're going to be doing in 3 years? I just think that's a waste of energy and not helpful.
Yeah.
So I would, I do think a year out is helpful with the spirit of knowing that you can change as you go. Now, what we don't want is a team to feel whiplash where we've all agreed to this strategic plan and then 3 months in, one of the senior leaders is like, just kidding, this isn't important anymore. That's not okay. But to have a year plan, and then if we get more data or we have an opportunity that comes our way, to be able to have some sort of lens by which we evaluate those. So that's how I think about it. What about you?
Yeah. Similar. I think maybe people get terms mixed up. And so I think of a vision, I think that's like a picture preferred future. So like I remember a church in Atlanta at one point saying that they wanted I don't remember what the big loop is all the way around Atlanta, but they wanted to plant churches all the way around Atlanta. Well, they're not gonna be able to do that in 2 to 3 years, right? So that's a long time. Like their vision is, um, by 10 or 20 years from now, we want to have a location within driving distance of everyone in greater Atlanta. I don't know if that was their vision, but that's not a strategic plan, but that is a vision. And so then your strategic plan can take very shorter bites at that along with other initiatives along the way. I remember when I was at Granger, this was in 20, 2005, I think. We had a 10-year vision.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was actually earlier than that. It was 2000. We had a 10-year vision. And by 2005 or six, it had like we checked a bunch of stuff off the list. There was a bunch of stuff that we're like, we're not doing that. Like the world has changed. And then it was just also like you just couldn't keep the energy into it, like the
Yeah.
momentum. So the next time we did it, we did a 5-year, and that felt too long. And the next time we did a 2-year, and that felt about right. I don't think there's anything wrong with a 2 or 3-year vision, but I do think it's like you said, when you get into the tactics, you're not going to be able to figure out the tactics for a 3-year vision. But maybe you don't have to. Maybe it's like there's some things you're going to accomplish in year 1, 2, and 3, when you get more granular in the early part of that.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hey, in our little chat here, Tim, I just put our, we had created a document for this client around what a strategic plan is versus isn't. And it was really neat to see the light bulbs go off in the room. People were like, this is so helpful. Because, like you just mentioned, we can get our definitions. You say strategic plan, for somebody who's like an executive in an oil and gas company, that's going to mean a completely different thing than somebody who's at like a tech startup or
Yeah.
a nonprofit or whatever. And so that's another thing I think for us as leaders in a ministry context is to realize you keep your board or your lay leaders in mind that they might have a different definition when we say strategic plan. So you put this together and I really appreciated it gave the room shared language. And so then as we were working on our plan together, we were able to go back to, and we even heard in the room, they would say, well, wait, oh yeah, I guess that shouldn't be on here because that's, we said that it's not a blah,
Mm,
blah, blah. So
yeah.
I thought maybe we could go through the highlights of this. And if you want this, feel free to email us, Tim@leadingsmart.com, and happy to send this along to you. But yeah, so what are the highlights here, Tim, that you think are helpful for ministry leaders on what a strategic plan is versus is not?
Yeah. So we have one, two, three, four, five, six things that it is, and about that many, maybe seven that it's not. The strategic plan is not. So in this case, the context of this particular church is we are working on a 3-year plan. I think let's just kind of read through these. Like a focused, I'll read the first one, a focused roadmap for the next 3 years. So a strategic plan is a focused roadmap. It names where we must put resources, attention, and leadership energy to increase our impact. So I think roadmap is like a really good word
Mm-hmm.
for a
I
strategic
agree.
plan.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not telling you what what kind of car you need to be driving or how often you have to get gas. It's just the map,
Mhm.
it's the lanes that we're driving in.
Yeah, that's really good. The next one is that a strategic plan is a decision making filter. It helps leaders say yes to what moves the mission forward and no to what doesn't.
Every church we talk to lights up when they talk about like we can say no to stuff or we can stop doing some stuff. They rarely ever actually do say no or stop doing things.
Yeah.
But they do light up at like, yeah, we need a filter for knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Hmm.
It's also strategic plan is an alignment tool. It unites staff, lay leaders, and ministries around common priorities rather than individual projects.
Hmm. And then it's also a catalyst for change. My favorite. I love being catalyst for change. It identifies the few initiatives that, if done well, will strengthen the foundation, expand our reach, and help us love our city more effectively.
That's good. And some of that language was specific to the church we're working with, but I think the idea of there being a catalyst for change is like it just helps people rally around something.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, that's the direction we're going. Like we can jump in on that. A strategic plan is also a bridge over troubled water. Nope, a bridge between vision and action. It translates who we are called to be into measurable goals and next steps.
Yes, I really love that link. Like, I can even like visually see that, because similar to strategic plan, vision, mission, strategy, all these words can just get can become synonymous. So I like it's the between vision and action. It's like the glue. That's so good. Okay,
Yep.
it's also a living document. This is kind of what we've been talking about. It should be revisited regularly. It's guiding decisions, but flexible enough to adapt as the world and church evolve. That's key.
Yeah, it's interesting. The church that we are working with, they had something on their strategic plan from 3 years ago, and as we kind of like walked through it, they're like, "Yeah, it's just we're not only not going to do it, we don't even think we should do it." But 3 years ago, it felt like one of the biggest things in their plan.
Mhm.
Um, so, and that's fine, totally fine.
Yeah.
Um, what a strategic plan is not, and this is probably the most important part of this list. It's not a catalog of everything we do. It doesn't attempt to capture every ministry event or responsibility already in motion. So where that comes into play is you produce a strategic plan. You talked about it with your staff and with your congregation. They're like, wait a second, I thought like whatever children's ministry was important. I thought weekend services were important. I thought, and it's like, oh, it absolutely is. We do it every single week. It's very important. Well, why isn't it in our strategic plan? Because it's not trying to be a catalog of everything we do. It's the big things that we're trying to create. We're trying to be a catalyst for change, like we talked about.
Yeah. And I think you had this client do this, but I also think you've had another client recently do this where you had them literally write every ministry on a whiteboard, right? And then they had to what was your prompt? Like if you could only choose what?
I learned this from Mark Meyer in a project we did recently together, where you list every ministry or event or in the church, and so the board ends up at a decent sized church. You're going to have 60 things on the board, and it might be children's ministry, or it might be we do the trunk or treat, annual kinds of things, and then you just have a mark. What are the things once they've defined their mission and they have it in front of them? What are the things, like you can only pick 10. If you only pick 10 of these things that help us move the needle forward, help us move our mission forward, mark those 10. And then mark the 10 things that aren't moving the mission forward, maybe even holding us back, but at the minimum, they're not helping us move the mission forward. And it's just a super interesting conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. A strategic plan is also not a wish list. It's not a collection of good ideas or personal passions. It's a focused list of what will truly move the needle. I want to come back to this one in a minute because I've really enjoyed that process of this strategic planning process, or this part of the strategic planning
Yeah.
process with this client. And I think that we've done a really good job of helping people feel heard, but also been clear that, like, you're not going to see all of these things in there. So
Yeah.
I want to come back to this one in a minute, but it is not a wish list.
Strategic plan is not a budget spreadsheet. While resources matter, it's not primarily about numbers. It's about focus and impact. So it's not just a list of things like, oh man, we got to replace the HVAC and we're going to build a new building. There may be some of those things on there, but that's not primarily what it is.
hmm It's also not staff job descriptions. It doesn't replace ministry plans or departmental goals. It sets direction that informs them. So again, high level, direction. Yeah.
It's good. It's not a marketing document. It's written for internal clarity first, not external promotion. Sometimes groups working on strategic plan can just get stuck in the wordsmithing. And especially if you've got like creatives in the room, which is great when you do, but sometimes they're thinking about like the output. What's this going to look like on paper or on a slide? And that will come, but that's not what the document's about.
Yeah. And it's not permanent. It's meant to serve this next chapter, not bind future leaders indefinitely.
Lastly, it's not the whole story. There will be many faithful ongoing ministries that will never appear in the plan, and that's okay.
Yeah. And then we've got kind of a summary statement here that this was, I think, what the team just kept coming back to was a strategic plan isn't everything we do. It's the few things we must give disproportionate focus to in order to fulfill our mission more effectively. It's not a binder on a shelf, but a living roadmap that keeps us aligned, disciplined, and pulling in the same direction. That disproportionate focus, I remember somebody in the room she attached to that phrase and was like, this is so helpful because it's helping me reframe when I'm looking at this board of so many options of things we can do, what deserves disproportionate focus. So that was really helpful. So, and then something that we do here at Leading Smart, whether it's succession planning or board governance, or even working with an executive team on like what your agenda should be, of having everything having a purpose,
Mm.
and really like stating that at the top of every template, um, and we talked about that in last week's episode on executive team meetings. And so that's the what this statement here is, just to remind everyone, what is the purpose of this strategic plan and what do we mean when we say it.
That's so good. You were gonna swing back to one of them. Which one was it?
Yeah. So it was the
Not a wish list?
which one was it?
Wasn't it not a wish list?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk through the process that we've taken this client through. Because one of the things that is important to us at Leading Smart is that we're not prescriptive. And what we mean by that is, yes, do Tim and I, especially Tim, have years of experience and have ideas for what might be best or best practices? Yes, and we are happy to share that. But there's also a zillion different contexts, and there's things that work really great at one church that have worked horribly at another church, and vice versa. And so when it comes to strategic planning, we really bring that spirit of collaboration and that the knowledge is already in the room versus Tim or I or our Leading Smart team coming with all of the knowledge. And I've learned that from Tim, and especially in this setting, I've just seen it play out really, really well. So, Tim, with this client, this was their idea, which I thought was great. They call it a church conference. For you, in your context, maybe it's called something different. Maybe it's a church-wide meeting, or an annual update, or a vote, like whatever that cadence is at your church or your organization. They brought us into that, which I thought was really smart because it helped cast vision. It also allowed Tim and I to have visibility in front of people who are the most bought into the church. And and then we actually led a collaborative exercise at that gathering. So Tim, do you want to kind of talk about what that looked like?
Yeah, and this was, as Holly said, it was to kick it off. So it was the launch of the whole process. We'd had a couple pre-calls, but as it was to let the church know, hey, we're entering into a strategic planning process, and this is a church that had been familiar with that in their past, so they knew what they had a sense of that. It wasn't new to them, and also like we want your input. A lot of times uh, churches will do this and or they'll produce it and they'll people be like, "What? Like I I mean, who did this? Who decided this?"
Mhm.
So I think it was wise for this church to just say up front, "Hey, if you want to speak into this, come to our church conference. It's on Sunday afternoon at blah blah blah, and you're going to have an opportunity to speak into this." And we created some table discussion exercises to be able to pull out of them what are their dreams as they dream about the future of this church. How do they dream about that? How do they think about that? One of the key questions. This is a established church. It's been around for decades. Well, 80 years.
Mhm.
And so one of the questions was, what do you hope is still true? What do
Yeah.
you love about your church that you hope is still true 3, 5, 10 years from now? And you just find some really, really fantastic ideas, stories out of that, and you find some common themes out of that. And so we were able to carry that forward. We did another exercise with the staff, the whole staff. We did something similar with the lead staff, the directors and pastors at the church, and then with a lay committee that's steering this process.
Mhm. Yeah, and so we had people they set it up in the round, like round tables. And I don't know, Tim, there were probably like 100, maybe 200, I don't know.
I think there's about 200. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I know you don't do numbers.
Leave it to
Fine.
me, like, yeah, 100, 200, I don't know. Um, and we asked, there was a note taker at each of the tables that then turned in those notes. And so that was just so helpful because when we roll it out in February, then it won't be a surprise. People will feel like, and this sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. People need to be able to weigh in before they can buy in.
Mm,
And when we skip over the weigh-in process for the key stakeholders in our organizations, we will pay for that later. And it's so hard. You earn trust over time, you can lose trust in an instance. And so to take your time early on to have people weigh in is really going to help you in the long run. So then we kind of just replicated that process across smaller groups. So there was a committee, whether, and again, in your context, depending on your church polity or governance, this could look different. Maybe it's a committee, maybe it's a team, maybe it's a task force, like whatever that looks like. But having a cross church group of people that can carry this forward is so key because you want to have those different perspectives in the room. And I think the mistake that a lot of executive teams will make is they go away for a weekend. They create the strategic plan and no one else in the congregation has gotten to speak into it. And we forget sometimes on the executive team, we're so far removed from the front lines. We're not necessarily leading the small groups. We're not having to manage volunteers. And we're going to miss key initiatives when we're not asking for weigh in on the front lines. So, yeah, we repeated that with several different groups. That the committee was able to go and ask special interest groups across the church those same questions. And then we took all of that and created summaries out of that to look for patterns and trends. Um, and that was, I don't know, Tim, a few months process,
yeah.
right? Couple months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then we met in person with the committee and again, very collaborative. So then we took all of the learnings, all of the summaries from the church conference, the special interest groups, that committee, and then broke them out into two separate groups
Mm.
to decide, okay, out of all of the things that have surfaced, what rises to the top in for us. And so they had three kind of categories that they had already chosen that they wanted to anchor to. um, and it was just really neat to see that committee dive in and do that hard work to decide what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Yeah, and that meeting that you're referencing, that was probably 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon, and they did a hard work, and, we had some good food, and part of it was everyone together, part of it was separated out into, a couple subgroups. But as we sit here and record this, like tonight is when we actually present the first draft to that committee, and so that's going to be a fun conversation to be able to just kind of get a sense of they received it a couple days ago, get a sense of what they're thinking and how they're feeling. Let them poke holes in it, let them speak into it, um, and make it better. And then we'll start broadening that here in the next few weeks, as far as like once the committee's like, yeah, we think this is actually pretty good, pretty reflective of our work, then we'll take it to other groups, staff groups, other lay groups, groups that are within the church, and this particular church has different campuses, so leadership teams at different campuses, and then again they get a weigh in so that they'll buy in, and we're shooting towards about 2 months from now about going back to another church congregational meeting and presenting the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, key takeaways from today are really defining and getting clear on what is a strategic plan and making sure that everybody who is involved in crafting the final strategic plan is all on the same page about that definition and purpose. Then we talked about the importance of being collaborative. And of course, you can create a strategic plan that's not collaborative, but Tim and I have just seen over and over again, you're really going to pay for that in the long run. So taking the time to be intentional and collaborative and allowing people to weigh in so that they can buy in. And yeah, I think those are like the two
Yeah.
big takeaways.
And I think, like, if you're wondering, like, why or when do we know we need to go through a process like this? Like, some common maybe symptoms that would make me think, oh, you probably need to do this. One would be if you're overly complex because you've just been saying yes to a whole lot of things, and you get to a place where people are like, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. I don't know where we're going. It seems like we're just saying yes to everything. So if you're overly complex, and I'm not an advocate of like every church needs to be a simple church. Um, but if you're like, we got so many things going that we're not even sure they're connected back to our mission, then that's probably a time to go through a strategic planning process. And then another time would be like if you've recently, let's say in the last 5 years, like it was a crystal clear vision and plan for maybe the first 10 years, 15 years, and because we had to relocate, or we were going to launch 3 campuses, or we had to finally get in our building, or we had to finally those kinds of things. And you get to that mountaintop and you achieve it, and you do need to take a little bit of breath on the other side. But you had the whole church focused on a direction, like together and unified, and that muscle memory towards like, let's just we all know where we're going. And you let that sit for very long, and then people are going to be like, they're just going to be restless, and they'll be saying things like, where are we going? I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Like, it was so clear 2 years ago, but right now, what is that? And I think after you take time to catch your breath after something like that, then taking time to go through like a really intentional strategic planning process so you can figure out what that next thing is.
Yeah, so good, Tim. That's awesome. Okay, well, it's almost been 30 minutes, so we'll do like a quick little fun segment here at the end as we transition to our
Okay,
fun segment. Oh,
before we do
yeah.
that,
Okay.
I want people to know, like, um, we've been doing this strategic planning stuff
Oh,
for
yeah.
a while. I mean, me for like 40 years, and you for a few less than that, but a long time, and helping other organizations with it too. So,
Yes.
Holly now kind of being more a part of Leading Smart, and having more margin enables us to be able to do more strategic planning for organizations. So,
Yes.
if this topic is interesting to you and something in this kind of like, hit a button for you, then reach out and let us know.
Yes, and Tim, I totally forgot to say that. Thank you, because we are doing a webinar on January 7th. It will be all about strategic planning. So if you want to register for that, you can go to leadingsmart.com/podcast. We'll put a area on that page where you can click and register for that webinar. Or you can email Anna at leadingsmart.com. She's part of our team, Anna at leadingsmart.com, and she can
If you
send it.
like us, you're gonna like Anna better. She's better than
Oh,
both of us.
yeah, she's the best part of Leading Smart.
Yeah.
So anyway, because this has been such a topic of just something that comes up over and over again, is like, what is the work that we should be focused on? And so I am such a nerd. I love to talk about this. And so I will be sharing some thoughts and principles with you and want to answer your questions there on January 7th, 12 o'clock Central Time. And you can go to leadingsmart.com/podcast or email Anna at leadingsmart.com. Thank you, Tim.
Great.
All right. Mine is it's going to be a simple question today. It's going to be
Okay.
related to the holidays because we're leading in real time, and here we are. What is your favorite Christmas song? Because we learned a couple episodes ago that you are now allowing yourself to listen to Christmas music. So, what is your favorite Christmas song?
Holly.
And you can't say no Christmas songs. You have to have a favorite.
I know, this is going to expose me for who I am. I was gonna say it's gonna make me look like a Grinch, and then I decided, nope, it's just gonna expose me for who I am. Don't love Christmas music. So I have a favorite artist, and she just came out with a not Christian, a Christmas album, and I've heard some of it. Her name's Natalie Jane, and she has just one Christmas album. So I'm gonna say it's one of those songs, but I don't know any of the names.
Which this is so funny about you, Tim, because you're like one of the most like thoughtful and like emotionally aware people that I know, but you like buck up against lovey-dovey Christmas songs.
I buck up against like I don't watch black and whites. I don't watch old movies. There's no music from the 50s, 60s. I mean, I just if it's from previous generations, I have no connection to it. And most Christmas music is old,
Old.
and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, my favorite Christmas song is Oh Holy Night. I just
that was a very spiritual answer.
yeah. Yeah, we kind of switch places right now.
Back to exposing me for who I am. All right, but this is about you, Holly.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
Holy Night.
Holly Night.
Yes. I just love it. And I mean, like, because in it to sing it well takes, pipes, like really good, a really good singer. And so I think about like some of my favorite, like Kelly Clarkson has a really good version of Oh Holy Night. Josh Groban. I don't know that I have like a favorite like version of it. I just love the
Yeah.
song in general. Yeah. Okay. What is your least favorite? Like the one that just makes your like nails on a chalkboard when you hear it.
Well, I don't know. Wow, we're still talking about Christmas music. Okay. Um, uh, so I can't think of a song. I just like too much.
Yeah, just too much of it.
It's like, okay, we should be done with this now. We should be done.
But we just
So like
started.
any Christmas music that I hear at all after Christmas Eve
Yeah,
is
that's fair. I feel the same way about that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be like I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus, like that one's annoying to me. Or like
That's
I
cute, Holly.
I can do like one Santa baby, but then like if I gotta hear it more, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
no. And then there's like, what is it, like Christmas Shoes or whatever that song is? It's just so cheesy.
Does it go with the Hallmark Christmas Shoes movie?
Probably. I don't
Yeah.
even, I've never seen that. So anyway. Okay. Well, thank you for suffering through that with me, Tim.
You're welcome. No more Christmas themed fun segments.
Yeah, I guess we have to adopt your rule like you did for the worship pastors at churches
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
said like you can only do one a week until the week right before Christmas or whatever.
3 weeks before one song, 2 weeks before 2 songs. The week of, you can have all the songs be Christmas and then no more.
Yeah. Okay, fine, Grinch. Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, everybody. No. Okay, awesome. Well, we also want to remind people that the Simply Strategic Show ebook is available to you at leadingsmart.com/podcast. You can go there and be able to download that ebook. The reason why it's in an ebook is because because of copyright laws, we couldn't release them all via like a podcast. So it's really special because you get to hear Tony Morgan and Tim from 20 years ago get to talk about the state of the church and what they were learning. And like we talked about last week, you guys are hilarious.
Aren't we?
But yeah, go there, download the ebook, and then there's a link to every episode in that ebook, as along with an executive summary. So, all right, Tim. Well, have a great rest of your week over there in cold, snowy, icy Chicago.
Thank you. I made my choice. I live where I live.
You did.
See you next week.
See ya.